The kingdom of Elarion stood proud beneath the pale sun of a distant age. Its towers were carved from white stone, and its banners bore the golden lion, a symbol of strength and mercy. From the rolling fields of the south to the icy peaks of the north, its people called one name with reverence: King Alden Thorn. He was not born into glory. He had earned it, forged it, bled for it. When his father died of plague, Alden was merely 20, and the realm trembled on the edge of ruin. Crops had withered, the treasury was empty, and enemies watched from every border like wolves circling a wounded stag. Yet Alden did not bend. He rebuilt the walls, restored the farms, and ruled not as a tyrant but as a guardian. The people called him the Lion-Hearted. But in time, peace becomes the cradle of complacency. And beyond the borders, shadows stirred. The first whisper of war, it began in the north, where the mountains split into mist and the old kingdom of Draven lay in ruin. A warlord rose from those ashes, a man named Varek the Iron, once a knight of Elarion, now in exile. Varek had served under Alden's father, fought beside Alden himself until greed blackened his heart. He wanted more than honor. He wanted the throne. For years he gathered an army of outcasts and mercenaries, men with nothing to lose and hatred to feed. When winter came, he struck like a storm. Villages burned, towers fell, the snow ran red. Alden's council begged him to fortify the capital and let the borderlands fall, but he refused. "Every village is Elarion," he said, "and every farmer is my subject as much as any noble." So he rode north with 10,000 men, his banner bright against the gray sky. The Battle of Frostvale. The first clash came in the valley of Frostvale, a white plain broken by black rivers of ice. The armies met under the cry of horns, and for 3 days the world knew nothing but steel, blood, and fire. Alden fought at the front. His armor gleamed with frost, his sword sang through the snow. When Varek's forces finally broke, Alden stood over 1,000 fallen men, his breath heavy, his eyes hollow. They had won, but at a terrible cost. Half his army lay dead. When Alden returned to the capital, his queen Alara ran to him, tears in her eyes. "You saved them," she whispered, touching his blood-stained hands. He only shook his head. "No, Alara, I merely delayed what is coming." The whispering council, the royal court, grew restless. The nobles, soft from years of peace, demanded higher taxes, more gold. Alden refused. The people came first, yet whispers grew in the corridors, rumors of weakness, of a king too kind, too burdened by his heart. His chancellor, Lord Marius, began to weave schemes of his own, promising wealth to those who supported his vision of a stronger Elarion. Alara saw it before Alden did. "You cannot trust them," she warned. "They see only power, not sacrifice." "I know," Alden said quietly. "But a kingdom divided from within falls faster than one besieged from without. I must hold them together, even if it means standing alone." The people's king in the years that followed, Alden poured the treasury into rebuilding villages, feeding the poor, and repairing the farms destroyed by war. He walked among his people without guards, spoke to children in the streets, and carried water for the sick. They loved him, not as a ruler on a throne, but as a man among them. But love does not fill coffers, and soon Elarion's gold ran dry. The nobles grumbled louder. Some plotted with merchants, others with foreign kings. And in the north, Varek had not vanished. He had waited, rebuilt, and returned. Stronger, darker, hungrier. When the Second War came, Alden faced a choice: tax his starving people, or march with an army too small to stand. He chose the latter. The last war, the night before he rode out, Alden stood on the castle balcony, looking at the sleeping city below. Alara joined him, her cloak drawn tight against the cold. "Why must it be you?" she asked softly. "Because they believe in me," he said, "and belief is the last sword I have." He kissed her forehead and whispered, "If I do not return, tell them I died with honor, not as a king, but as one of them." At dawn he rode north again, this time with only 5,000 men. The fields of Ardentmoor became their graveyard. Varek's army outnumbered them 4-1, and the battle was a storm of chaos. Alden's banner flew at the center until the final hour. Then, amid the smoke and screams, Varek himself appeared, towering in black armor, his sword a blade of vengeance. The two met in the heart of the battlefield, the snow around them red as autumn leaves. Still playing the shepherd, Varek snarled, "You could have ruled the world beside me." "I'd rather die a servant than live a tyrant," Alden replied. Their swords clashed like thunder. The duel raged until Alden, wounded and bleeding, drove his blade through Varric's heart. The warlord fell, but the victory was hollow. Alden's army was broken, the land burned, and the king fell to his knees, staring at the horizon he had sworn to protect. The fall of Elarion. When word reached the capital that the king had not returned, despair spread like plague. Nobles fled. Merchants hoarded what little gold remained. The queen took the throne in mourning, ruling as regent, but the realm was fractured. Weeks later, soldiers found Alden alive, barely. His armor shattered, his crown lost, his sword broken. They carried him back to the city, where the people wept at the sight of their fallen king. He could no longer fight. His wounds were too deep, but his spirit had not died. He ordered the last of the royal treasury opened. "Sell it all," he told Marius. "The gold, the jewels, the crown itself, feed them. Rebuild the farms, let the people live." Marius protested. "Without gold, there will be no kingdom left to rule." Alden smiled weakly. "Then let Elarion die as a kingdom, and live as a people." And so it was. The royal palace was stripped bare. The great tapestries were cut into blankets. The golden crown was melted into coins, each stamped with the image of a lion and the words, "For the people." The last days of the king. Years passed. Elarion changed. The nobles vanished, the peasants thrived, and the land healed in quiet ways. Fields bloomed again. Children laughed in the streets, and the name of Alden Thorn became legend. The old king spent his final years walking among them, wearing a simple cloak, no longer recognized by many. He lived in a small cottage by the river where once the castle stood. Every morning, he would rise with the sun, look at the rebuilt city, and smile faintly. "It was worth it," he would whisper. One winter evening, as snow fell softly outside, Elara found him sitting by the fire, eyes closed, a faint smile on his face. He had gone peacefully, his hand resting on an old lion engraved pendant, the symbol of the people he loved. The legacy a century later, travelers still told the story of the king who chose his people. They said that when Elarion fell, it did not die, it transformed. Its people carried its spirit across lands and generations. Wherever kindness bloomed, they said the lion-hearted soul walked among them. In the ruins of the old castle, the villagers built a monument, a stone figure of a king without a crown, holding a child in his arms. At its base, the words were carved, "He gave his throne to save his people, and in doing so became eternal." A moral true power is not in the throne one holds, but in the hearts one chooses to protect.